Car Dieu a tant aimé le monde qu'il envoya son Fils unique, afin que quiconque croit en lui ne périsse point, mais qui ait la vie éternelle. Yesu atelemi na ekuke azali kobeta oyo kofungola kokota bakolia na esani moko. Yesu atelemi na ekuke azali kobeta oyo kofungola bakolia na esani moko. Soki oyoki mongongo kokanga motema te, soki oyoki kokanga motema te.
Ik wil een beetje op praat.
Atie liboso na yo bomoi pe kufa me alobi pona bomoi poyo.
Good morning. This is the hour of restoration. It's a good morning, I hope, also for you. Welcome again to a new show. I'm your brother Randy. It's good to see you again. I hope you have a blessed morning. This is the hour of restoration. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We're back online. Back again with a new show. Know that you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook. We are streaming there. Those are the platforms that we are streaming on. Today we have a show for you again. We will be talking about the theme Witchcraft. Ooh, Witchcraft. And the topic is divination. So tell a friend to tell a friend. If there's something that you want to know about this topic, get your pen and paper ready. First, we'll have a table talk with our panel members to see what last week's show was about. I believe we spoke about dressing. The theme was dressing, and we spoke about the men concerning their dressing. So we have a small talk with our panel members about what their stance is on that and what they learned from it. So that's the first segment, and then in the second segment we'll continue with the word of wisdom. So get your pen and paper ready if you want to learn something. So we'll be right back in a bit.
We ascend to the highest place in the spirit. We ascend with our prayer and thanksgiving. We ascend to a realm in the highest of the heavens. We ascend to bring you worship because you are worthy of praise. Kadosh, Kadosh, Elohim, you are one. Kadosh, Kadosh, hear the ancients singing. We ascend on the chariots.
So feel free if you have missed something, if there are many topics that you want to learn something about. We have many of our subjects that we handled on our platform SoundCloud. You can also follow us on Instagram, where we update many things that we do behind the scenes, many things that we keep ourselves busy with. many positive things. We also have Instagram live sessions that you can watch back on our platforms, Instagram. So yeah, there's many things that we have handled, so you can revisit them on our platforms, SoundCloud. So let's finish this song and then we'll start off with our first segment, the table talk. So be right back in a bit.
In the highest heaven, we climb different heights, different places in the spirit. Creation is growing, the songs are emerging, the altars are rising with smoke, rising from the sacrifice of our ancient worship. Our ancient worship. Our ancient, our ancient, our ancient worship. We ascend on the wings of the Spirit. We ascend to the secret place in the Spirit. We ascend to learn new songs in the Spirit. We ascend to hear songs never sung by David. Kadosh, Kadosh, Elohim Yitkawan. Kadosh, Kadosh, hear the ancients singing. We ascend with the tambourines of Miriam. We ascend, singing songs of the elders. We ascend to bring worship. We ascend to bring power. We ascend just to bow before Jehovah Sabbath. We ascend to bring worship. We ascend to bring power. We ascend just to bow before Jehovah Sabbath. We ascend as sons of the Most High. We ascend to the deepest place in the Spirit. We ascend to be clothed with the glory of the age to come. We ascend with the shout of creation. We ascend to be clothed with the beauty of the Lord. We climb different heights, different places in the Spirit. Tabernacles are rising and altars are rising with incense of worship and praise. Rising from the worship, our ancient worship. Our ancient worship, our ancient worship, our ancient worship, oh, our ancient worship.
So welcome to the first segment. This is the hour of restoration, coming to you live with the table talk. So I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are faring well despite of the times that we are living in. At least the sun is shining, you're breathing, something to be grateful for. So thank you again wheresoever you're listening from over the world. If you're hearing the sound of my voice, means that you have life, you have breath. So let's be thankful for that. So let's jump into our first segment, the table talk, about what we handled last week. The theme was dressing, and what is there to be said about dressing? We have handled so many things about dressing. So let's see what our panel members have for us, and let's see where we will be heading. So I have at my table two of my brother and my sister seated. So let's see how they're doing. Sister Stephanie, it's good to see you again. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
You're doing fine?
Yes.
How come?
Because I'm fine today.
You're fine?
Yeah.
No specific reason.
No, I'm just at peace.
You're at peace.
At the moment, yeah?
At the moment, so it
Yes.
can change at any moment.
Of course.
Okay. It's good to hear that you at least now have peace, now that you're at my table. So thank you. Good to have you here. And brother Harike, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Everything is going well. So
At peace also.
mhm.
Is that also something now, or you have everlasting peace?
Everlasting peace.
Everlasting peace. You hear that, people? It's something to seek after, because peace is not something that's easily found in this world. So it's good to have you here. Thank you.
And you?
I'm doing well also. I'm also at peace. peace.
Stable peace or ups and downs peace or calamity peace.
Huh?
Wow.
Oh, there are
Calamity
different
peace.
levels of peace, eh? No, I'm in a level of peace like I take delight in the little things, so that's where I find my peace in. So you can turn around and do everything, but at the end of the day, if you don't have peace, then it's something that you have to be aware of. Okay. As you guys know, we have discussed the theme dressing, and it's not a new thing for you guys because it's something that we have already spoke about and something that we keep ourselves busy with daily. But yeah, we have discussed dressing for men the last show, and what is the biggest difference between the dressing for men and women, Steph?
The biggest difference.
Yeah, in dressing for men and women.
Well, I think if you can identify somebody by the dress alone, how it is presented, what type of clothing the person is wearing, then you can differentiate either the person is a woman or a man. So the type of dress makes a difference, I think, for the genders, the different genders. That's what I can say about it for now.
Okay. Arike, do you see a difference of what is for you the biggest difference between the dressing of men and women, especially nowadays? Because you nowadays see people all kinds of cross-dressing and wearing all kinds of things. But what is the biggest difference between dressing between men and women?
I think that the biggest difference is more how the dressings have changed over time. Because when you read like in those days, you see that also men were wearing clothes that were like from their neck until their toes. Sometimes you read that the Messiah was covered with a garment until his toes, which means what today we would know as, many people would know as type of a jalaba type of thing. So a woman can wear that and a man can also wear that. But when you look at what happened over time is that the fashion industry really targeted women's dressing, and they try to make it more sensual and more sensual. So now if a brother, for example, repents and he has to change his dressing, it will take less effort than a woman, because many women have become accustomed with the sensual way of dressing that this world offered them. So I think that is a major difference, that they really targeted the dressing of the woman, and of the men they're also targeted. But yeah, I'm not saying that it's similar as how it was, but it's a bit easier to take a step back as a man than it is for a woman.
Yeah, exactly. There's the biggest. Yeah, they tackle women the most in this world because they. I know something that you said in a show that we handled way back in 2018, I think, that if a woman changes her dressing, it immediately brings a whole big effect in when she changes her dressing. You immediately see the whole environment changing and people perceiving her differently, and so that's really, I can really understand why they tackle the women in a way like that. So but we discussed about the men, right? So can you give your definition of a properly dressed man, Steph?
Well, first, covered.
Covered.
Yes, covered. And when I say cover, I mean that like less skin is exposed. So like the arms, like it's not open or uncovered from here till here. So like the most part of the clothing or the dressing is covered for the man.
Yeah.
And neat and not tight, not too loose, but just in a proper size. Modest as well.
Okay. And Harike, when we because you spoke about the definition of a properly dressed man, but likewise with the women, it isn't always about dressing only, right? A man should also be. Is there some? First, let me establish it. Is there something like a modest man? Is modesty only linked to women?
No.
No,
Well,
it's only okay. What is a Can you define a modest man, Harike? She gave the dressing part, but can you elaborate on what is more?
Modest man. I think that is also it is difficult because it's a bit abstract, but I would more link it to simplicity. I would more link it to that because modesty, whether you are a male or a female, I think it comes down to the fact that you don't need that much in order to be content with what you have. Also, when it comes to your dressing, right? So you can have maybe a nice dressing or a nice watch, but it doesn't mean that you need to have that thing in order to feel content about yourself. You are also happy with wearing a simple shirt, trousers, and shoes, and then just go about your business. So I would say something like that.
And your character wise, is this also something that plays a role?
Yes, of course, because I think that having the ability to be simple in your clothing is it shows your character as well.
Yeah.
Right? Someone who is simple in their clothing, you'll see that also when it comes to their mind, you'll see that there's a lot of stability there. They don't need much. They also have a simple way of reasoning and looking at things. Someone who's really complex in dressing and you need to match this and match that. You see that when you look at the way they think, usually, they also have a really complex approach to different situations. So
yeah.
So
I can see what you mean with that. People with those complicated dressings, they also have a complicated life.
too much complicated.
Yeah.
Really?
I think so.
Can you? Okay. Well, let me leave that there.
No, you can ask.
No.
Actually, no problem.
No.
That's what
But
I've
what
experienced.
if that is the person's preference or like taste?
Yeah.
Because some people are like dress simple, but other people like to play with colors and want to do the combinations or the breaking point here and there. So does it make that the person's way of thinking or mindset is also complex?
Yeah.
No, and when I say complex, it doesn't necessarily mean complex in a negative way. So complex necessarily isn't always. It is more difficult, but it's not necessarily negative. What I simply mean is that when you see a man, for example, or woman who has or who is content with less, you see that also when it comes to approaching difficult situation, the person or the man or the woman is able to say, you know what, this is happening to me, I'll be content, I'll get through it, and that's it. Right? You see that they also have a simple approach to many situations in their life. And when you see a person who constantly is looking for complex dressing, I'm trying to mix this, I'm trying to match that, I'm trying to do this, when it also comes to simple situations, usually you'll see that it will also take them a while maybe to figure it out. They're trying to look at every detail in that situation and try to figure that out, whilst you can't always do that in your life, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I've experienced with people who dress simple. Even though they do not have all the answers, they're able to get through it because that's the way they approach situations, and that's also the way they approach their clothes.
Yeah.
Right?
Can you move the mic a little bit closer?
Like
Yes.
this? Okay,
Yes.
cool.
Okay. Thank you for your contribution. What you have to say about it, Steph? But he described many things. But what does a modest man in character look like to you?
Well, I think there's no big difference. If I will say that a woman should be chaste or meek, I will say that a man also should be humble and simple or self-controlled. So these things are actually more or less the same. It goes for everybody.
Do you have examples of how that should look like in the practicality?
Well, if it comes to work, services of the Most High in the assemblies, when a man, for instance, do something, it is like you can see that the person has thought about it, does approach it in a gentle way. When speaking to different people, it is like respectful manner. And also the person is trying to like mimic or reflect how the Messiah like taught us to behave or how to treat our neighbors. So the person is really trying to practice the things that the Messiah or the Bible shows us to do. And not the person. The person shouldn't be perfect, because who is perfect actually?
But I have a question then, because you mentioned that we ought to be like the Messiah in modesty also and in character. But I remember a story in the
I knew you go there.
No.
Yeah.
there, because I want to know
That anger part, right?
Yeah, because can a modest man
Why not?
be angry also? Because
We are all human.
yeah,
Yeah. That is also a way to express.
how do you
Like, we
balance
have-
that?
I think the Bible says it: "Be angry and sin not." So it is. Even Elohim gets angry.
Yeah.
Angry, like anger is part of it. It makes you human, right? So it is. It is impossible to tell a person not to get angry, but we should come to a point where even when we get angry, we can control ourselves to the point where we do not sin.
Control, yeah, it's a key
so-
word. So is that what you meant? That you have to have balance in everything, and just like the brother said, be angry and sin not. So you have to manage yourself and practice self-control.
And even if it is not there, you can work towards it.
Yeah,
Like, find ways to exercise that self-control, speak with other people, try to do multiple reflections also for yourself to see, like, okay, where does it go wrong? What is the trigger point for me? And try to learn from the mistakes if it is like a real big challenge for yourself.
yeah. Okay, that's a good answer. Harike, concerning modesty and as well as dressing and character, do you have someone you look up to, for example, concerning these things, or is it something that you learned? I don't think you learned it by yourself. Do you have something, a role model? Do you look after concerning these things, dressing and modesty?
Let's say dressing and modesty. And not necessarily biblical, because I don't know how the people of the Bible were dressing. Right? I don't know
John
how
the Baptist.
Abraham was walking around, or
You know how John the Baptist was walking
nah,
around.
John was too he was too wild for me. I can't go to my work looking like John the Baptist.
They will fire you immediately.
But
Yeah.
the brethren in this group have always been an example for me, and I've never really looked at their dressing. But I think that when you work on your character, you yourself will find what modesty means for you,
Exactly.
right? So my modesty, for example, might not be the modesty of someone else, right? So that's why I'm saying that it's a bit abstract. You can't really make it that concrete for everyone, but you should look at what does modesty mean for me, and how do I make myself modest in character and in my heart, and all of a sudden your dressing will also begin to follow along.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that. And Steph, the same question for you. On a woman's perspective, do you have someone that you look up to as a woman, or how did you then came
I
to be how you are now?
It's a question.
Yeah, please enlighten us.
It's still a journey. It doesn't mean, if you see me this way, it doesn't mean that it stops here. I can still change in the way of dressing, still back, positive or negative.
Yeah.
But I don't have anyone in mind. I really try to to be modest in dressing, so that I don't be an offense to anyone, whether a lady or a man. And that is how I do it. I don't have anybody as an example that, okay, I will dress the same way as a person, because I cannot compare myself as anyone, because we don't look alike. Because you also have to be specific and be honest about yourself, that, okay, what is your figure? Like, if this type of dressing that I'm wearing is modest for myself, I cannot put it on somebody else, because maybe it is immodest for that person. So you have to do the check every time.
I feel you.
And even this year, I for me it is modest, but maybe in 10 years time it's not modest anymore.
So you have to adapt.
They laugh.
Why are you laughing?
because that is something which many people don't understand.
Exactly.
The fact that a sister can wear a dress, you cannot wear the dress. And your body is not made for that dress.
Yeah, okay. People need to understand that your body may not be fit for that dress. So please examine yourself in
And
the
the
mirror.
material as well. Material is very important.
What do you mean?
Some of the materials, they are very soft. Yeah, you can see through it. Or what do you say? See-through in the dark.
Can certain people do wear see-through then?
Yeah. Oh yeah, maybe you have not seen it.
I'm confused now.
Yeah, so different type of materials, and that's also you have to be very mindful of, because it can literally like make it modest or immodest as well. So if it is too thin, if you can see through it, then you should not wear it, even though it is the correct length or size for yourself.
Okay, I try to understand what you're saying, but I thought see-through is you can see through this. It's never modest to wear a see-through thing, so that's why I got
that's why I said also the length, because I can say that I'm wearing a long skirt with that material, but some people can still say and like approve that it is a proper dress to wear it, but it isn't. So that's why I make it very specific that also you have to watch the material, not only if it is too loose or too tight or long or short.
So if you have a dress which is the right size, but the material makes it a see-through dress, then you should stay away from it.
Okay. Yeah. I hope the people also understand it. So if not, drop it in the comment section and we can ask them to elaborate with more. So thank you for that. Let's continue. Harike, where and when did proper dressing started to go off then in the assembly? Because now we see around people are not really modestly dressed in the assembly, and especially the women. But as a whole, sometimes you see certain outfits in church where you think like, please, why are you coming like this? When and where did it start to go off then in assembly?
It is difficult to pinpoint that to a specific point in history, but what we do see is that when we go back to how our forefathers used to dress, and even how our mothers used to dress in their youth, especially when they went to what we call church nowadays, you'll see that it is different from what we see today. Right? Our mothers and our fathers, when they went to the assembly, there was a bit of fear for Elohim.
Yeah.
Like nobody needed to tell the woman, like, when you go to the assembly, you need to cover yourself up, you need to cover your hair, and you can't come with any type of dressing and trousers and makeup to the assembly. But it seems as if the moment we make the culture of the Europeans our culture, and we make their religion, which is Christianity, our religion, all the things that really made our culture that respectful and that modest, and all the things that allowed us to cover ourselves up, and all the things that gave us principles to live by, we throw them out of the window. So the more we really get into the Western way of dressing and the European way of serving our Elohim, which is Christianity, it seems as if the more we distanciate ourselves from modesty, because that is the only religion which tells us there is no law. Right? So there is no law in Christianity. There's nothing that tells us how to dress ourselves. So now we just come into the assembly dressing the way we see people dress on TV and the way we feel like. So I think that is the point where we really it went off. We embraced the Western way of doing things.
So Steph, where do you think that we should start then to return, because we know where we went off and how we went off, then where do you think we should start to go back then? What should we do?
I think I will fall back to what the minister said last week, and he mentioned the foundational things like the law, the instructions. These are things that we actually should know. If you embrace that, if you try to understand like why the law is established for us, then I think these are the first steps for you to work on your inward part first. Because if you do that, then you get more fear, more wisdom and understanding to also work on the outward part. And if everybody is doing that, like the individual people, and then as a collective as well, if you see on your left or right that somebody is going off, be honest about it, because I think that is also missing in the assemblies. that maybe somebody might see something that is too revealing or immodest, but we don't say it. We just keep our mouth and then allow everything, and that is not how we help ourselves to move forward or to live in righteousness as the Most High wants us to live.
Okay. This is that how you started your journey? Because you said the law and
No.
How did-
I just, because the minister said about he was talking about the law that makes a nation, or that shows how a people or a collective is living, because you can identify these people. If you are living lawless, then you will also identify it in their appearance, in the way they behave, they dress, eat, everything actually. So that is actually the foundation, the like the basic thing that you can start with.
Yeah.
But for myself, yes, to be honest, I did not start with that. It is something that grew from something small to big. I wanted to know Elohim more. I wanted to understand his ways, but I didn't know that it will be a drastic change, that I will also change from dressing, because I got like the personal conviction and also revelation that this is something that I need to do. And because I received that, I want to obey him. I didn't want to like disobey or ignore that I received. So that's why I embraced it, I took it, accepted it, and then I followed the instructions.
Okay.
But maybe somebody else cannot do that, so it takes also time.
Yeah. And Harike, did you had to change a lot when you heard about dressing for men?
Yes. I also had to change a lot, and I didn't really have to change when it came to how tight I was dressing, for example. But it was more like what I was buying. I was usually I was really into wearing a lot of brands, spending money on things that had that were a bit expensive for what I was earning. Right. So what I really had to change was what I was buying. I could spend maybe a few €100 on dressing and a specific brand, which it didn't make sense. So for me, that was the biggest change that I had to go through.
Yeah. Because I
also needed to throw some things away. I remember that I bought new shoes.
Yeah.
And I was doubting, and then being so good, I can remember that also in certain specific dreams, I would see myself throwing away or simply staring at a specific piece of clothing, and something would just convince me that I need to put away or do away with certain items. So also helps us with that.
A question, what made it so difficult to actually throw it away? What was going through your mind or within you?
I think that it because for many people, your clothing is part of your identity, right? You feel like you only belong to a specific class or a specific level or a specific group of people when you wear what they wear, and when you put on what is appealing to them.
Yeah.
And as long as we keep that in mind and we try to please other people, we will never be able to come to a point where we embrace the modesty of Elohim. So for me, that was also the reason why I wanted to look good in front of my friends, because I was also playing football, right? You have a lot of young, fresh boys, young women over there. So you wanted just to please them also. So that was what made it difficult. But eventually,
you must do what you have to do.
Eventually, you have to change. So it's good to hear those things, that it has to convict you from within, and then you have to go through the process, as the Bible says. You have to be tried by fire, and I think that's the place where many people get stuck. That they see their surroundings, they don't want to change, they have peer pressure, those kinds of things. So that is really something that is to be considered. I hope it motivates someone at home to also make this step. Don't ignore the call. If you feel something that don't ignore that voice. So there's still one thing that I wanted to ask, because the preacher man in the last show, he said because many people, when they come to the assembly, they think suit and those kinds of things at preaching. He says he didn't really put attention to that as long as he was covered. So how do you balance that out? Like, because you said you wouldn't buy expensive things, but if I can afford it and it covers me, hey, why not?
To me,
Yeah, to you.
if you can afford it and it covers you, of course, like you can, if you want to wear a suit to the assembly, hey,
Mhm.
be my guest. There's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with wearing a suit to the assembly, but it becomes a problem when you make it seem as if wearing a suit is the way to go. It's like you have to wear a suit. You have to wear that. First of all, not many people can afford a suit,
Mhm.
right? And the assembly should still be accessible to those people who cannot afford it.
Mhm.
And when you look carefully to the way the Bible describes the men of Elohim, none of them wore anything which even resembled a suit. Many of them were wearing really, as I said, a simple long garment. Some of them were not even wearing those garments, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, as long as you are covered, I think that what the minute, as long as you don't reveal that much
Mhm.
in the assembly, if you have money, you can wear a 500 euro suit and you make more than enough money, be my guest, right? If you don't have money, you only have a t-shirt,
Mhm.
right? A simple t-shirt and trousers, come to the assembly. It's also a place for you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So yeah.
And for the people at home that may have difficulties with this, with dressing, what is the thought process that one should go through before putting on a piece of cloth? Or maybe also, because modesty is not also only about clothes, it's also about the way you talk and the things that you say.
Mm-hmm.
What should be the thought process before putting on something or saying something?
Saying something. Okay. I'll try to do the no. Let me just try
Oh
to
yeah,
answer.
you do the clothes part, and then Steph will say
Okay.
the speaking part.
The close part, I would say like and this is also a process, right? You can't really force this upon anyone,
Mm-hmm.
right? But one thing that I'd like to remember sometimes, okay, if I would go to the assembly and maybe it's your turn to minister, for example, it's simply your turn to be there, right? You
Yeah.
should try to remember that all the attention in the assembly, right, is supposed to go to Elohim,
Mm-hmm.
right? You are coming there for Elohim. You don't come to the assembly to parade what you have or to parade your possessions or to parade your clothing.
Mm-hmm.
You come there to make sure that all the focus goes to Elohim. And maybe if you have, this is how I look at it, if
Mm-hmm.
you have a really wonderful jacket or you have a wonderful piece of clothing or whatever, right, and you know that or you feel that maybe if I really come with this outfit to the assembly, it will draw too much attention
Mm-hmm.
for me, then that's a sign for me, let me just put it away, right? Because it's not the time to, it's not a celebration, it's not a feast, right? So let me just dress down, right, come simple so that all the attention can go towards Elohim. That is how I judge the situation.
Okay. And Steph, about the speaking part, what is the thought process when it comes to modesty about speaking?
Mm, hmm. Yeah, I don't know where to start.
You don't know where to
No,
start.
I really don't know because
Maybe we can start in the middle.
well,
What is for you
what
the thought process that you handle before you say something?
well I try to think before I speak.
Yeah, exactly. So what goes to your mind?
Well, it depends on who is in front of me, who I'm speaking with.
Okay, that's one.
If it is a known person or unknown. If it is an unknown, then I will carefully like pick my words. But if I know the person, I can be straightforward with or very honest without sugarcoat things.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to curse someone. That is also a very important thing. If you're a person who use like some offensive words, watch it. And also you can ask somebody around you, of the people who move with you, to also correct you if they hear it.
Yeah.
So that you are like you can pay attention to the frequency you use certain words. What else? Yeah.
And
Just use the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is something that can be helpful.
Yeah.
it also reminds me of a certain scripture. I lost it, but it says that I think that the tongue of the righteous is like a well of life, but the tongue of the wicked man is like a either said it's like a sting or it's like a sword, right? So many times we should try to like build up the habit that when we speak to someone, let it be in a way that builds up another person,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And if you have nothing good to say, it's better not to speak than to say something in a way that will tear somebody else down,
Yeah, exactly.
right? So that is a simple thing I can add to being really a modest person. You don't always have to say something.
Yeah, yeah.
If you don't have something positive to say that will build someone up, it's better not to speak to someone than just
Yeah,
to
yeah.
throw words anyhow, anywho.
Exactly, because when you said it, it reminds, because when I was sitting home and I was reading a comment or a discussion that I had with someone in the comments 8 years ago, and the things that the person said, it was exactly what you said. Like I was back in the days, I was always when you're insecure about yourself, about certain things, then you make jokes about certain things, and then I saw that, and I was like, the person said to me like, you don't have to bring down others if you're insecure about yourself, and you have to think before you speak. Don't tear someone down with jokes, or even if it's in a playful way. So it down on me. Now I finally understood what he meant with that, because back in days I didn't understand. I just like, what is this guy talking about? Get out of here, man. But now I finally understood it. Like, he actually got a point in there, and then when I reflected about it, I like, that's what he meant. So it stuck to me. So it's exactly what you said. So we'll round up then. I have a last question then. That one is for you, Steph, because maybe it's for you also, maybe in the future or for now, but mothers play a big role in the lives of their sons, because in context of dressing for men and modesty, what can the mothers now with sons do to make them aware and teach them about proper dressing and modesty? Because the Bible says, train up a child and in the way of Elohim. What can the mothers then do in this part?
Yeah. Also for the mothers, it also starts with themselves. That they try to be an example as a mother, and then the sons or the children they are trying to raise up will also see the example that if that is a man choosing a woman, then he knows that, okay, my mom was also an example of being modest. Then he knows how he can also make that choice. And also, as the word says, that a mother should also like pass on the laws of the Most High that is written in the word. So if a mom can do that from like the beginning, then you give your children, you give your sons also the basics, so that he can also grow from that point until he is a matured person.
Okay. Yeah.
And an honest conversation, just be open, and try to, when you bring an instruction, don't say don't do this, but try to explain why this is not good, or why this is good. Just elaborate it as much as possible, so that the child also has a good way of thinking also, and to make decisions.
Don't just put laws on them, and to help them to understand why and what's the benefit or the downfall of the choices that they make concerning their dressing and modesty. Okay, thank you for that. And to round it up, one last question about because now we're going to talk about a new theme, that is witchcraft, and the topic is divination. So to proceed into that, Harike, a quick question: what comes in your mind when you hear the word divination?
All the prophets in Amsterdam come to mind.
All the prophets. Wow, people
in the world.
So
all of them come to
if
mind.
you're a prophet in Amsterdam, we're going to talk about witchcraft and divination. So if there's something that you want to hear, or maybe learn, and why the brother says that you come to mind when he hears the word divination, I would say tune in and tell a friend to tell a friend. So my panel members, thank you again for being here with me, sharing what you have. I hope it blesses someone. And if you have something that you want to know, send us a message, and we'll see your way and to help you through. So thank you again, my panel members. And as we'll continue with our next segment, the word of wisdom, your preacher man will sit down and bring the word to us about the theme witchcraft. And in this topic of this episode is divination. So get your pen and paper ready, tell a friend to tell a friend. This is the hour of restoration. We'll play a little song for you, and then we'll be back in a bit.
In the name of Elohim, the Most High, all praise be unto Him. Again, we bear witness that there is but one Elohim. Before Him, after Him, there is none. He is the author and the finisher of all activities in which we are involved. We are grateful to be alive. We are grateful to feel how we feel. We are grateful for His protection. We slept as dead men and women. And sometimes you think it is your alarm, the one you set on your phone, that awakens you. So you trust. Whenever you have an appointment, you set an alarm, thinking when it is maybe 6:30, that it will begin to rain so that ye may stand up. Many people also set alarm yesterday when they were going to bed, and it was ringing this morning, and ringing this morning, and they could not stand up. So we are grateful that Abba Elohim has shown compassion, that He has visited us once again. Therefore, we bear witness that He is the Almighty. We trust in Him. We serve Him not because of what we gain or what we will see in the future, but we serve Him because we are grateful for He having compassion upon us and ensuring that we are kept alive, even though we did not deserve it. So we thank Him and we bless Him for Moses, Enoch, Jeremiah, Isaiah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Joel, Zechariah, Ezekiel, John the Baptist, and all the prophets of old. We are grateful for the apostles, the one who handed over to you the epistles, or what you call New Testament. And we can never thank Him enough for the one who was hidden even in the seventh heaven, Yahushua the Messiah, the one who came in the form of a man and humbled Himself even unto the point of death. That when some people tried to defend Him, He told them that, don't you know that I am surrounded by legions of angels, and that if I needed any physical help, I could have commanded Michael and his boys. Yet He humbled Himself so that today we may be able to come before Him with no fear. So we are grateful, and we hope that you are also doing well, and that you are also grateful for the life that you have. Sometimes you become so selfish. We demand so much that all the things that we have is we still feel it's nothing. And what should the people in Somali say? What should the guys in Afghanistan say? What should the guys in North Korea, when you are born and you have no access to passport? So you are born in a country, you cannot travel outside the country. That which you will drink and eat and see on the televisions are determined by the government. You have so much freedom that you yourself, you can book a ticket on your own and go on a vacation. Yet, life is doing you. So let us appreciate the little that we have. When you read Revelations, he said that because you have forgotten your first love and you've forgotten your first works, the things you did not appreciate, behold, even the little that you have left, if care is not taken, I will come and remove them. So let us humble ourselves. Let us appreciate life. You will appreciate life on the day that you try to wake up and you cannot. That is when you will realize how precious life is. How precious this earth is. So I am grateful. Whatever that we go through, whatever I go through, I'm also like you, with blood and veins and emotions and struggles and challenges and financial difficulties like all of us do. Yet we still survive. We still march on. We do not allow the little challenges we face to bring us down and then to pass on that challenge to other people around us. But we move on. Sometimes people come to me, they're like, hey, how come is everything okay? I'm like, when things are happening, you can decide to cry. Your tears are not going to change the situation. So why cry? It's like if you've done something and you've been arrested and jailed. You can decide to cry every day in jail. You are still in jail. So the ones who survive are the ones you watch movies, they show you. You see, some of them they go into prison and the first week they are so down they can't believe it. So then the guys who have been in prison for a while, they see you as a sister, as weak. So then they are like, this brother. So now they turn you into a woman. But the guys who went them, they are like, hey, come what may. They are left alone. So that's how you have to overcome. Whether you cry, fast, or pray, when you visit the tank stations, the fuel stations, the prices are skyrocketing. Eh? So you just deal with it because the white people are not praying. They just go there and they curse the government sometimes. And life goes on. Now you cancel it in the name of Jesus. The prices are not changing. So this is how you overcome. You have to reach a point whereby you know that I don't have it in my power to change this at the moment. So I have to accept it. Otherwise, you will blame yourself and blame yourself and blame yourself. And the stress will kill you. That's whenever you dream, you are stressed. Look at the kind of dreams you have when you are stressed. So just give yourself emancipation and do whatever you must do to survive this. Things are happening, they will never change. We have come here for years and we've told you that things are not going to be better. We don't come here and be like 2022 is you have 2 plus 2 is 4 and goodness. And since 3 is perfect number according to them, the Father, Son and Holy Ghost, that is perfection. And that is 3. So when you add a 1 to it, it means that we are going to possess. What are you possessing in Amsterdam? The prophecies and the things that he has laid down, because we are not students of prophecy, and because over the years the Gentiles taught us, and they are the ones who pointed the direction and told all of the ones who call themselves shepherds and prophets that look at these people and they are the real people, and whatever is happening to them, it means that is prophecy. So now you look at them. So things are happening and you keep telling yourself, as long as it doesn't happen in present day Jerusalem, we are fine. Are you really fine? So humble yourself. The scripture said that, and he caused all men, both young, old, small, strong, to receive a mark that no one could sell or buy except the one who has the mark. And they've been walking around telling you that someone is going to play 666 on your head. Who are the people who are able to determine who is sanctioned? That's what he's talking about. And you think that is an individual thing. No, these are sanctions against nations. When they sanction Ghana or Congo, how are the individuals going to eat? Since we import more food from countries like this country, Holland. Total arable lands, so those are the lands where you can grow veggies and plants. 40% are found in Africa. Europe, there are so many things, when you grow them here, it doesn't grow. Yet we depend on importation of food. They are the ones who determine the prices of goods and services from your country. It is he who is able to cause all men to receive. So you are there. Your pastor has been telling you that you receive a mark on your head. Look at the technology that we are involved in. Why would these people place a literal mark on your forehead? But that's what you believe in. So I hope that you will learn something today. Last week we concluded on the topic, the dressing for both men and women. And in the churches, I don't think they even talk about dressings anymore.
Nope.
It's sad. Especially when you look at what the women wear in the churches. I think men are more penalized in the churches when it comes to dressing than women. You know that you are in a false church when a brother maybe has a Nazarite vow and wants to grow some locks naturally, Rasta, and you go to church. Look at how all of them will treat you. They will treat you as a criminal. They give you looks. The pastor will not allow you to stand on the pulpit. Yet the women that buy fake weave, fake hair, and weave Rasta, as for them, they are allowed in the church. That's how sick Christianity is. And nobody wants to talk about this. So I hope you've learned something. And how you live your life, your children, they will see it. And they will mimic you. So if you have earrings, the child, your boy, will be like, Pa, I also want earrings. So he's 4 years and he has bling bling. So by the time he reaches 17, what do you think he will demand? So I hope you learn something. It is applicable for all of us, our children, and you, if you want to walk on the path of righteousness. It's not an easy road, but with determination and righteousness and loyalty, you will survive it. Today, we are here with a new topic. Witchcraft. And then I think the subtopic is then divination. When you look around us, there are so many things that we see physically that are classified as witchcraft. Yet those things, we don't talk about them. We focus on some beings that the Nigerians and the Ghanaian movies told us, that whenever we go to bed in the night after 12, that you have entities, human beings, known as witches and wizards, who are able to fly in the night and go and gather at a place, and then they can cook a human being and eat you. So when Christmas or the end of the year is coming, in all churches they do prayers. And the prayers are not prayers based on the commandments of Yah, but they are praying because according to them, the witches and the wizards are in a deficit for blood. So they must make it up. So they need more blood at the end of the year. So when you are in Ghana, they tell you, yeah, that's why you see at the end of the year in December, there are so many car accidents. Are there many car accidents in Europe in December? You go to Africa during the end of the years, your roads there are no roads. The long journeys, they are coming from all the villages because they know it's the end of the year. So you have more people traveling. And the drivers, because they want to make more dinero, reckless driving. So automatically that translates into more loss of lives. But when it happens to us, afterwards, it's spiritual. So as soon as there's an accident in Ghana involving, let's say, 2 buses and 30 people are dead, the first people they call are prophets on the radio in Ghana. They've heard rumors that there has been an accident on the A1. 30 people are dead. Prophet, explain to us. And the prophet is really going to explain it to us. That the politicians, because elections are coming up, they have done some rituals, and oh my goodness. So today, by the mercies of Yah, by the time we are done, you will understand that it is nothing but a fantasy, a mirage. It doesn't exist. No man or woman born by a woman has the ability to speak to some people spiritually and meet them spiritually somewhere.
To chop someone.
Spirits, because they are spirit, that is their world. They meet. Human beings, when we want to meet, ik moet een tekst sturen van Enif. Vergeet onze afspraak niet. It's just common sense. But the movies and the pastors have deceived us. So now look at us. So what they call all nights. They tell you that today we are going to pray, and after 12 a.m. the witches they come together. So now the title of the all night is called "The Witch Must Not Fly." So many of our people that pray after midnight, it's not because they want to pray after midnight. They are praying after midnight because they think around that hour some beings are flying. So now they are going to intercept them with their prayers. And you read from Genesis to Revelation, there's not even one example of this. Yet all Christians believe this. The scripture said that we should not add or take away. So where are you getting this thing from? How come we didn't see Isaiah, Jeremiah, Moses, and all of the prophets who were before us binding witches, binding demons? Yet 2022, when we go into the church and we are praying, let's thank Elohim. Let's ask for forgiveness. And now we are going to pray. Any whatever in my father's family, then repeat after me. And you see the vim and vigor, especially women. And they're like, what is wrong with you? By the time you are done with such prayers, you are so tired, you can eat maybe 4 balls of kinky. Your energy is gone. So, who has bewitched us? So let's start from 2 Corinthians 2:11. Listen to the book.
2 Corinthians chapter 2, starting from verse 11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us.
He's telling you that we have to be very, very careful. Otherwise, the one you call Satan will have an advantage over you.
For we are not ignorant.
How does he have an advantage over us? For we
are not ignorant of his devices.
As for us, we are not ignorant of the devices, mechanisms, ways, tricks of the enemy. Listen.
Once again, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices.
But unfortunately for us, we are all ignorant concerning the devices of Satan. So you yourself, some even bind Satan himself. You go to Nigeria and as for those Zimbabweans, the Ubet angel guys. And all of these boys, they learned those traits from Ghanaian preachers. The other guy is also from Zimbabwe, but he's in South Africa. The guy who claimed he was flying or something on the stairs. I forgot his name. Bushiri. That the guy has the vim to stand in a church and be like, the angels are here, the cameras are capturing them, and then they do magic with the designs.
Graphic designers.
And you have women defending it on YouTube, and their quotation is always, how dare you touch the anointed of Elohim? Touch not my anointed, and do my prophets no harm. So then they begin to rain curses on Christians. If one of them make it, I will be very, very surprised. That they are cursing you for just questioning what you saw. So even when the person is wrong, you cannot question them. Why? Because they are the anointed. Did God speak to you that person is anointed? And touch not my anointed is not even for the prophets. The anointed were the priests. The anointed were the kings, the leaders that received anointing oil on them. For example, you saw Samuel anointing David. That's why when David had the ability to slay Saul, he said, nah, because he knew that as long as the guy has been anointed by the priest, Yah will revenge you if you kill him. So later on, when Saul was like, kill me, some people said, no, I will not. One person killed and came to report it. That he asked and I killed him. And they're like, what? You've killed the anointed of Elohim? And then they killed him. You make it spiritual. That we can't talk about Bushiri and TB. Who are TD Jakes and TB Joshua? Who are they? Did they create mankind? People even talk about the Messiah. So today we will show you what really happens in the scripture when it talks about witches and wizards. So before I give me that of Jude, that they speak about things they do not understand.
Jude 1, starting from verse 8.
Listen.
Likewise also these filthy dreamers.
They are what?
They are filthy dreamers.
That's the thing. They are fantasizing. They don't know what they are talking about. So he's calling some people filthy dreamers.
They defile the flesh.
Because they are filthy, they are now defiling the flesh.
They despise dominion.
And then they now despise dominion.
And speak evil of dignities.
And they speak of dignities, entities unknown to them. Listen.
Yet Michael the archangel.
Yet the guy called Michael, the minister of defense of the Shamaims, the one who is the protector of the people of Israel, when confronted
When contending with the devil, he disputed about the body of Moses.
On this earth.
He durst not bring against him a railing accusation.
So they are dominions, they are territories. Even on this earth, Holland, they have their own dominion, their own territory. The people of Belgium can't cross. You can't be like, you are a Belgium, your law says that in all your country you can drive, let's say 60 kilometers an hour. And you cross the border of Holland and you say you are going to apply the same thing. So as long as Michael was on this earth, knowing that when men fell, that the earth was then given into the hands of who? The wicked one. He has dominion on this earth. So he could not even bind Satan.
But he said, Elohim rebuked thee.
But your pastor is able to bind Satan. You are able. He said, let's walk on Satan. Go to Ghanaian churches and you look at the women and the men. You are just coming from the same bed with Satan. And you are now working on him. He's waiting for you at home. When you were going to church, he did not even follow you because he knows that nothing there. So he's on your bed. He's doing like this, shaking his head, waiting for you to arrive. And the first thing you do when you enter your house is to commit sin. So who is the boss? Listen to the book in Exodus 22:18.
Exodus chapter 20 and 2, starting from verse 18.
Listen.
Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live.
Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. This is the famous quotation for Ghanaians and Nigerian preachers. So the revival is titled, The Witch Must Die. And you are not even tired that after killing so many witches for 20 years in your church, you are still killing them and nothing has changed. And you are not sick and tired of this. You are still doing the same thing. Look at how many witches you've killed in 20 years. How come your family members are still surviving? So who did you actually kill? Do you know? So they've become so demonic to the extent that every week they've tuned in, waiting for a call to come from the family house that this uncle died, this aunt died, this nephew died, this child died. And when they hear it's like, today I must eat chicken. That's how evil Christians have become. That you are waiting to hear news of mourning in your own family. Because according to you, that person is a witch. And the funny thing is, when your mother goes to church and the Congolese prophet is ministering, he mentions the name of your mother's, maybe uncle, and said that all your sorrows, your mother's sorrows, her marriage, her finances, any sorrow she has in life, is the uncle. So now your mother, when she's praying, she pictures the uncle. And the sad thing is the same uncle went to a different prophet. And he was told that your mother is the witch. So when he is praying, he's now picturing your mother, Mama Amy, mentioning her name. I got her. I mean, what is wrong with us? So, have you seen what has happened in the church? Previously, when the power of, let's say, the devil was high, and that of the prophets, you saw that all the prophets that were very powerful, they lived in bushes on mountains. The same as the fetish priest. Now, whenever you wanted to see a priest, it wasn't like today. Someone has to really take you today, otherwise you can't find that person. And what they did was, if you look at it very carefully, in the beginning, when you needed something from the devil, and you go to the fetish priest, they don't ask you for an iPhone or 1,000 euros. They just ask you for, let's say, 2 eggs. Or just bring 2 eggs and we will do it for you. So when you think about it, it's so like, whoa. This is really good. Like, only 2. So you even ask a priest, only 2 eggs I can have? No, 2. He has tricked you to get you in. Once the rituals are performed, then spiritually, you now have a covenant with them. That is when they will demand from you, after they are done, they will be like, and let's say every year, kill a chicken around this time and use it to honor, let's say, the river. You have just once a year. So you've been doing it once a year. It's nothing. One thing they didn't tell you is that it's passed on. It's an everlasting covenant that you have. So many of our ancestors, what happened to them? They did the ritual, so everything was fine until they died. The spirit is still waiting. And he's demanding the blood from who? Your children. Because they are your blood. The children doesn't know. They don't know. So now, Satan takes control over the whole bloodline. And this is why Yah kept on warning Israel that don't do this. Don't do this with the other gods. This is what will happen. And the same is with Yah. That's why he said that having compassion upon the 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever generation. The people who love him. It's a perpetual covenant as long as your descendants keep on honoring him.
In Exodus 20 verse 5.
Listen.
Thou shalt not bow thyself to them, nor serve them, for I am Yahuwah thy Elohim, I am a jealous Elohim.
You see, he is a jealous Elohim.
Visiting the iniquity of the fathers.
So when we sin, the same as the devil, he will also visit iniquities or disobedience of the fathers or the one who made a covenant with him.
Upon the children,
listen,
unto the 3rd and 4th generation.
Listen, so 3rd, 4th generation, if after the 4th generation nothing happens, it continues. That's how Yah works. And that's how the enemy also works. That's why I keep on telling you that there's only a thin line between them. Yah demanded blood, sacrifice, sheep, oxen, whatnot. The devil also demands the same thing. When you go to their fetish priest, bring chicken, bring this. As for them, they can go to the extent of accepting swine's blood. Yah demanded the pouring of libation. You go to them, the same thing, because it's the drink of the spirits. That's why the pure alcohol are called spirit. They demand the same thing. The covenant is the same. It's not only established. Yah never established a covenant just with one man. He said, and I will be this unto you and your generation after you. So that's why he said that not for your sake do I do this, but because of the covenant. So this is how the devil tricked us. So you go across Africa, you see that only idol worship. The prophecies are there. That you worship idols, wood, stones. And like what we just read in Jude, because we do not understand certain things, we now curse the creation of Yah. Now, in all Christians, their minds, when they see a river, they see the devil. So, there's just a bridge. Especially Nigerians do this. And she's about to drive on the bridge and cross the river or the dam. She will stop the car just before she goes on the bridge. I rebuke you in Jesus. You rebuke who? Who are you rebuking? Forgetting that the very foundation of that bridge is located in the river. So we have ended up, because we do not know principalities and dominions, we are ignorant of it now, we curse the very spirit of Yah. And when it happens like that, what do you think will happen? Then they withdraw themselves. And then the other guy takes over. That's why I keep on teaching you that if you follow these people, like they have books that you can follow, you draw some signs on the ground, you stand in it with candles, and you can invoke a spirit. And you can even invoke Michael and Gabriel. Try it. Indeed, a spirit will appear and tell you that he is indeed Gabriel. For Gabriels, there are many. And that's what people forget. The same on this earth. Are you the only one with the name Randy? But we assume that, oh, Michael, there's one Michael, Angel Michael, finito. Even if that angel who appears to you is not called Michael, and he tells you that he is Michael, how do you verify? So, if you do not know the word of Yah, you will be tricked. To all the prophets, they encountered these entities before they saw Yah. Before the Messiah became Messiah, he encountered him. And he made him an offer. This is after he had just fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, when he was too strong.
Too strong.
You think when you are weak is when the devil comes. You are a liar. You don't know what is happening. It's when you are very, very strong. That's when he comes and tests you. That's why worry yourself and do 40 days fasting when you can have it for free without fasting. And who doesn't want it for free? So I sent you a definition. Let's talk about it. Listen.
So the definition of divination according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary.
So before we go, the witchcraft, by biblical definition, is all the works of Satan put together. Whether it is sorcery, whether it is magic, whether it is the binding of people, whether it's astrology, whether it is necromancy, all of these put together is known by Yah as witchcraft. So what we read in Exodus, when he said that I do not suffer a witch to live, You think, and one thing that you forget is that how will you pronounce such a statement? Because witches are people we claim their spirit will fly in the night. How do you go and arrest them and bring them physically to be stoned? So you see your logic? These are people who practice voodoo. So witchcraft, there is no man on this earth who flies in the night and gathers somewhere on a tree. One day they caught a woman, they beat her so bad in Ghana. Did you do this? And that is the whole thing. When they catch them so-called, and especially it was the fetish priest who started this process. When they take your mama there because she has been accused, before they don't do magic for her to just begin to speak, they make some concoction, some leaves, and give it to her. That drink this and let's see. Tell the fetish priest to drink the same thing. You will see what will happen to him. You go bananas within 5 seconds. Were you the one who killed your husband? Yes. Are you the one who killed this sister? Yes. They went further. They asked all of a sudden, are you the one who killed Jesus? Yes. That's how sick this is. So in Nigeria, for example, when a woman was accused of killing the husband, they have a practice. They shave all the hairs of that woman, add it to some concoction, and then I think they clean the dead body or something of the husband and also add it to it. And they're like, drink to prove your innocence. So what do you think is going to happen to you once you've drank it? And they are whipping you. So you want the whipping to stop. So whatever comes into your mind, you say, yes, I did it. It doesn't exist. Otherwise, who will be alive on this earth? Because do you really know Elohim? The thing that was tormenting us is idol worship, covenant with strange gods. So then they had power to punish us. For example, you are struggling with barrenness, and you go to a fetish priest and ask for a baby, and you get what do you think is going to happen? What do you think the child is going to do? He will end up being a chief priest. So this is what has happened over the years, and we became blind to it. And because of that, all the churches, when you see these so-called crusades, the mighty ones, it's not for revival. You just have to look at the topic or the theme for that crusade or seminar. It's always binding the whatever, binding the strong man in your house. Duncan William has a PhD in it. Wrestling with the strong man. Which strong man? And like I was saying, he's been your pastor maybe for 30 years, and you've been a member. And for 30 years long, you are still wrestling with that strong man. You've not conquered, and you are still following this man. So when he dies and goes, what next? So do you see how they've tricked us with religion? And because of that, we become doomed. Why? Because now you don't take blames anymore. That is the only difference. The prophets of old and the prophets of Baal, the only difference is that one of them, once you go to them, he points to you your mistakes. Voodoo man or Bonu man, when you go to them, Randy, they don't ask you who Heilig ben jij. As long as you can pay the fee, this one we can do. That is the difference. And now it has been transferred where? Into the church. So the prophet is ministering, is prophesying, and they don't conclude the prophecy. Be like, before I go further, you are so rich, but I have to unlock something for you. Touch you here. How much money do you have in your empty your wallet? Don't look, just empty it. It's emptying you. Huh? How can that pastor give you riches? Whereby as for him, his riches, he has to collect it from you physically. You have to pay right now. He collects the cash physically. But you believe him that he is telling you that you will be rich. You believe in it. You've not seen it. That's how deceived the churches are. If he is so powerful, how come he asks for him, he cannot do this and dollars will rain on him? But he will collect your 50 euros from you. And when you do the math, he collects from Brittany 100, you 50. This guy 120. By the time he's done, he's rich. And the first thing he does is when he reaches the hotel. Man, how much is it? That's why most of the time they travel alone. They don't want to share the money. They travel with the so-called one lady who is a singer. And the so-called book 2 separate rooms. So go and find out in the night whether one is in a room. They never travel with their wives. Definition of...
So, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, the definition of divination, the art or practice that's...
So this is white boy saying. This is not like Bible thing. White boy giving you a definition of what is known as witchcraft or divination. Listen.
The art or practice...
See, the art or the practice of...
that seeks to foresee.
You see? You are doing something to foresee the future.
Or foretell future events.
You are predicting the weather. That's why you are classified astrologists as sorcerers. Because you are now predicting the weather of tomorrow. How on earth? They tell you they do it with satellite. That satellite knows tomorrow the temperature that will come on earth. What are you talking about? But they can't use the satellite to prevent tsunami. That they have 14 days weather forecast. You click on it, it gives you
2
14.
weeks.
Are you crazy? You think that is just physical? How on earth? So the art of trying to predict or foresee
future events
or
discover hidden knowledge usually by the interpretation of omens.
Listen to this very carefully. Usually by the interpretations of omens
or by the aid of supernatural powers.
By the aid of supernatural powers. Some people can just look at your palms, palm readers. Because everything on this earth is based on a number. So anyone who has your name, your date of birth, can give you like 90% of the things you will do on this earth. The Kabbalah men are expert in that. These Kabbalah people. You go on Google, they even have website. Type your name in and your date of birth. The things that we'll talk about, you'll be like, this is me. That's how far we are. Because everything on this earth is according to plan. It's numbers game. So palm readers, they look at your palm or even the marks on your forehead, they can tell you your future. And it's true. But with them, there's always an added something. So when it comes to divination, it's an art of someone trying to foresee the future events. Unfortunately for us, it's now the number one dominant force in the churches, in all churches, but 0.1%. I keep on telling, so all the voodoo spirits in Africa, where do you think they went to? Since you don't find them now, they just died. They found a resting place. These so-called big men, especially from Ghana, Nigeria, the powerful so-called men of God, go and read their history and track them to their family. You will always go and find a crazy altar built in their family. Because Master, you are hungry. You have no food to eat. You are desperate. So therefore, you just go to the mountains. Father, bless me now or I die. And for 40 days, you are not eating. All of a sudden, you begin to hear a voice. Once you hear the voice, nobody is going to ask, are you God? That voice is indeed God. For gods there are what? Many. And don't let them lie to you that there is power in any name of Jesus Christ. There is no power in any name on this earth unless the person mentioning it lives by it. So they go to mountains and spirits are searching for people to work with. Your family spirit has been following you for years, and you don't want to be a chief priest. It's like, hey, this guy can be a pastor. All of a sudden, it can change into anything. That's why I said that don't be ignorant, for Satan and his angels can transform themselves into an angel of light.
That's right.
So be very, very careful. And that's why he gave you the key, that you can only know them by their fruit and the things they say. So you are a pastor or a prophet the very day that your eyes opened. And whenever your eyes open, where does it take you to? How come you, even though with all your so-called, you are connected to the Spirit, common mystery, if you open Revelations 1 verse 1 and you ask your spirit, you don't have interpretation. Yet, whenever your eyes are open, oh, Randy, I see this. You were born here. This is your family house. Oh, I see a witch. It's always leading you to who? The devil. And for you to be freed, we have to do some rituals. And when you are doing it, what are you doing? You are now also committing yourself. So your mothers, when you were stubborn, they go to pastors, they give them cream and soap. Soap and cream don't change character. When you come to Elohim, nothing changes you. You have to change yourself. That's why the women that were possessed, after healing them, he didn't heal them from their character. No one can heal you from your character but yourself. So after delivering Mary Magdalene from evil forces, the next thing the Messiah told her is go and do what?
Sin no more.
If the forces were the one that were causing her to sin, would the Messiah tell her that? Because now you are delivered from the spirit that is causing you to sin. So when it comes to your character, there is no force that changes your character but yourself. The Spirit quickens you for you to be attentive so that you will be like, no, this is not me. You must change. At that moment, that is you. You are a murderer. You are an armed robber. So until your senses come back to you like the prodigal son, he went out to do all manner of crazy things. No spirit could change him. Until once he was eating swine's flesh and the feed of swine. And he realized that, hey, wait a minute. My father is a king. And look at what I'm involved in. I am now begging. I'm doing these kind of things. I'm fornicating. If I even change my lifestyle right now, and I go back to my father and beg him not to be accepted as a son, but a servant, he will accept me and I will eat better than what I am doing right now. So until the senses of the prodigal son, the prodigal daughter comes back to herself, so that you realize that whatever life you are living is nonsense, that you will return back to your father, no spirit is going to change you. And this is what has tricked all of us in churches. You go there, raise your hands, and say, Father Jesus, I accept you as my personal savior, blah, blah, blah. Oh, now you are free, you are free, you are The next day, you are bouncing on a Negro in a car. Huh? If you yourself don't sit there and be like, now that I have taken on a new mantle, I must now amend my ways.
That's right.
So that the mantle which is on me, I will be part of it. The things you had in your room, the posters of Rihanna, Beyonce, their backside in your room, when after accepting your so-called Jesus Christ at the conference, go home and see whether Jesus Christ has removed it from your wall. You have to change things. You have to protect yourself with certain things. When you change, now your friends, the ones who are always trying to draw you into certain things, you have to now run away from them. But you love them so much because now you feel empty. You feel lonely. But loneliness is not the absence of people, but direction. You lack direction. That's why you can be at a party. Thousands of people around you, you are dancing. All of a sudden, the woman is crying. I feel lonely. But many people are there. How come? You lack direction. You don't know what to do in life. So now you see someone married. Well, like, oh, how come 30 years now? No direction. So if you don't take it, then it takes over your whole mindset. And then you always wish bad for people. And when it goes on, that's when you become a master and a habitat for the devil himself. Because the devil also jealous. So now, 1 + 1 is 2. According to what? Math. But it's no more 2. Now he joins himself to you. And you are 1. And the same is with Elohim. Say the twain shall be 1. Not husband and wife. To know husband and wife are 1. Never was, never is. That's why when he was talking about, he said about I talk not about your marriage, but the church. But now you go and stand at the altar. You are now, no, nobody is 1. We are still different. You are 1 with your children because they have the same blood. Not with your wife. So don't be deceived in these nonsense thinking that you are 1. How come you are now divorcing? Can 2 people that are 1 divorce separate? We have to now cut you in asunder. You are not 1, married people. You are different beings trying to survive together. Your blood is the child. So because we are tricked now, we don't know what to do. I digress. 1 Samuel 15, 23.
1 Samuel chapter 15, starting from verse 20 and 3.
Listen.
For rebellion
is the sin
is as the sin of witchcraft.
Some versions say it's as the sin of divination. Rebellion, when you rebel against Yah. Why? Because now you are going to see things differently. The same as Eve. The very day she ate whatever she ate, she saw things differently. So now you are a diviner. You can perceive things. You can plan things. Listen.
For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as the iniquity of idolatry.
Listen.
Because thou hast rejected the word of Yah, he had also rejected thee from being
The
king.
last book of Moses 18 verse 20.
In the book of Deuteronomy chapter 18, starting from verse 20.
Listen.
And he says, But the prophet which shall presume to speak.
Listen. You see, the person who calls himself a prophet, who is prophesying according to that prophet. Can I prophesy? The whole church says yes.
Prophesy.
Is that guy who says he is a prophet? What happens?
Which shall presume to speak a word in my name,
Listen.
which I have not commanded him to
So
speak.
it means that some people can speak in the name of Yah with a different spirit.
That's right.
But it's not of Yah. So you, if he's not, how come he mentions the name of Jesus? You can choose to even delete your name of Jesus and use your own name. It will still work. Why? Because that thing you are doing is in you. Listen.
So the prophet which shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak,
Listen.
or that shall speak in the name of other gods,
See? And then later on they shall speak in the name of other gods.
even that prophet shall die.
Now you don't even know the name. But he gave you a mystery that before they spoke in the other name, they were speaking in the name of Yah.
That's right.
Yet they were not from Elohim. Third book of Moses, 19:30 and 1.
Book of Leviticus chapter 19 from verse 30 and 1.
Regard not them that have familiar spirits. Listen.
Neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I am Yahuwah your Elohim.
But nowadays, ask yourself, where did the guys with familiar spirit, wizards, where did they go? Because you keep on reading later on when we are concluding and you read Revelation, it's still talking about people consulting familiar spirits. So where are they now? In the churches. You just quote things like wherever two or three are gathered, wherever really two or three are gathered in his name. In his name. Do you know what that means to gather in his name? So someone is a fornicator because you are two, you are now, whenever we are two. Go ahead. You will see what will manifest. Listen.
Again, Leviticus 19 verse 31.
You can go to 2016, listen.
Leviticus chapter 20 from verse 16. And if a woman approach unto any beast.
Verse 6, go to 6.
Leviticus 20 from verse 6.
And the soul that turneth
away after such as have familiar spirits and after wizards to go a whoring after them, I will even set my face against that soul.
So when you read this kind of things, you're like, but Old Testament, you do. So where is it now? How is it practiced in our generation? That's where we are heading to. In 10 minutes, we are done. Give me 2 Corinthians 3 verse 6.
2 Corinthians chapter 3.
33.
2 Corinthians.
Sorry, 2 Chronicles I meant. 33 verse 6.
2 Chronicles chapter 30 and 3 from verse 6. And he caused his children.
Some people cause their children to pass
through the fire in the valley of the son of Hinnom. Also, he observed times.
You see, he did what?
He observed
the weather
times.
Forecast, guys.
He observed times and used enchantments.
And then enchantments.
And used witchcraft. And dealt with a familiar spirit and with wizards. He wrought much evil in the sight of Yah to provoke him to anger.
This is what is being practiced in the church. So especially when you have mastered this binding thing, have you seen the kind of directions the pastor tells you to do? At 12 a.m., go and buy this alcohol, go and buy this item, go and remove this flower from the cemetery. Banana Republic directions. This is what the fetish priests were doing. But now, because you are part of a church, you think that is God. So you don't see a fetish priest anymore. Listen.
From verse 7. And he set a carved image, the idol which he made in the house of Elohim, of which Elohim had said to David and to Solomon his son.
That is from Jeremiah 14, 13 and 14. Listen.
Jeremiah chapter 14, verse 13. Then I
Look
said,
at the spirit that they are using, because people think that they see the church, a building, as the house of Elohim. Forgetting that your church, the church is not even a church that you build. You are renting a place. A day before there was what? Bouncing party.
There.
No limit. Downstairs that we were renting for our church. That's where all the bouncing parties take place on Sabbath and Fridays. And Sunday morning they clean there and hand it over to us. And you are there, you know, the Bible said that we should not forsake the assembly of the brethren. What the heck are you talking about? Huh? What are you talking about?
Jeremiah 14 from verse 13. Then said I, Ah, Yah Elohim,
behold,
the prophets say unto them,
how come justice and the rest, they are always negative? But all the other guys, they say unto them,
Ye shall not see the sword.
It's well with you. The Bible said that you are a royal priesthood, and whatever. You shall see no death. You shall see. Before you know, 3 days later, the pastor who is proclaiming these things is dead. You shall see no death. Yet the scripture says that it is bound
to die one day.
So people, Christians, come on. Why? Because we've become so desperate that anything which is sweet. So you're a woman, your life, you can't say, you're always suspecting people. You don't go here, don't eat here, don't go here, don't go to your father, don't go to your mother, don't go to your niece, don't go to. So the whole family, your own children can't even visit one of your family members, and you are forgetting that you will die. So once you are dead, all of a sudden they should bury you. And now the same child has to now contact them and sit with them. And how come she doesn't die or he doesn't die? The logic of especially our mamas. Don't go here. Don't eat here. Of course, any wise person, you don't eat anywhere. But it's not because you think someone is a witch. Me sitting here like individual, like you've invited me to come and shop at how? If it is not cooked for group thing, no. And if it's for I will not even if you're a woman. But I've cooked what? I've prepared a soup, palm nut soup. You demand. And you are there, a pastor. You go to the villages. That's how they have desensitized the sensitivities of these prophets. Especially in the villages, you know, they cook fufu every day. So every day, this one, pastor, we cook something small for you. Oh, your sister, you shouldn't have, but no, just put it in the corner, you know. And then people, and you are there sucking soup. All of a sudden, you begin to dream dreams about her.
Fire bear.
Listen to the book.
Jeremiah 14, verse 13. The prophets say unto them,
the prophets, as for them, they say unto these people that are practicing wickedness in Amsterdam,
Ye shall not see the sword.
You, coronavirus, we cancel it. We told you from the beginning we are all going to be part of it.
Neither shall ye have
we,
famine.
Who were so negative, many of us till date, we don't even have the vaccine. You broke out, you cut in asunder, you prevent what? You were the first people who took the vaccine. What happened to you? These people are jokers. Listen.
But I will give you a short peace in this place. Then Yah said unto me.
Listen, Jeremiah.
The prophets prophesy lies.
The guys you call prophets, they don't belong to me. They prophesy lies
in my name.
That is it. When they are saying Jesus, Jesus is not even the name, but you're like, but how come they mention the name of Jesus and nothing? You can even mention the name of Yahuwah and you are still fake and nothing will happen to you. Why? Because you don't believe in it. He said they prophesy lies
in my name.
In my name. They come in my name. Listen.
I sent them not.
I have never sent them.
Neither have I commanded them.
I have not commanded them.
Neither spake unto them.
Yet they prophesy
unto you a false vision.
Listen, they see a false vision
and divination. And a thing of naught. And the deceit of their own hearts.
27 verse 9. The same Jeremiah.
Jeremiah chapter 27 verse 9. Therefore hearken not ye to your prophets.
So he's now warning you that don't, and if you pay attention, he always warns us about prophets. Because teachers you can trace. Because teachers, anything they say we have to find it. Otherwise we'll be like we're a false teacher. But a prophet is someone who just landed from the moon. Nobody knows where he came from. You do an interview with them, Archbishop Prophet. So how did this whole thing happen? You know, I was just one day in the bushes. I decided to fast for 1 year. I didn't see anyone. And I was walking around. All of a sudden, I heard a loud voice behind me saying, my son. And I turned around to see that voice. And behold, there stood before me Jesus Christ of Nazareth. They saw a white boy with horse hair and green whatever standing in front of them saying, my son, I'm sending you to go and save Ghanaians. How many Ghanaians have you saved? How many Congolese have you saved? Go look at your own mother. Is she saved? I'm sending you to the whole world. Why will y'all come and tell me that he's sending me to the whole world to go and do what? It's a lie because I can't go to the whole world. North Korea will not give you a visa. So even if he has sent you, you can't go physically. Unless, of course, you are like a witch or a wizard, as the Christians say, you can fly in the skies. But when you are there, you have to manifest yourself physically. Kim Jong-un will arrest you. Listen to the book.
Jeremiah 27 verse 9. Therefore hearken not ye to your prophets, nor to your diviners, nor to your dreamers.
So why do you think that he's now calling the prophets diviners? And they are dreamers. They dream dreams. That's why, like, I'm not someone. Every dream you want to interpret, you have to be very, very careful. There are some people, every dream, they need an interpretation. Most of the dreams are just you dreaming because you're a human being, you dream dreams. So you just dream and you saw maybe this poor lady, maybe with a machete behind you. Oh, then breathe. Oh, I always knew it was breathing. And that is it. You come and you go to your pastor. And pastor, I had a dream, and my own child was holding a machete. Did I not tell you? Did I not tell you? So now your own mama comes home and hey, don't touch it, don't touch it. You touch her food, she will go and throw the food away. How mad? In conclusion, Acts 16 from 16 and 24 to 24. Listen.
Acts
so that you know what is happening in the church.
Acts chapter 16 from verse 16. And it came to pass.
Now Paul is saying that it came to pass.
As we went to prayer.
Listen to this very carefully. They went to pray. This is Paul. Listen.
As we went to prayer, a certain damsel.
The spirit of divination, 90% of the time is on women. Because they are easily deceived, unfortunately. That's why if you look at all them churches, Pentecost, whatever, whenever they say a spirit has come down, who is speaking? A woman. My children, my children. Who is your child? Listen.
A certain damsel possessed with a spirit of divination.
A certain lady possessed with a spirit of divination.
Met
if
us.
She was in our time, we will call her a prophetess.
That's right.
Wow, hey, this girl, whenever we go to church, wow, something comes on her and she prophesies That's divination. Just look at the outfit of that lady. If it doesn't match righteousness, you know, like you are one of them. Elohim doesn't use swine to preach righteousness and to proclaim his word. So don't talk nonsense that Balak and God is able to do anything. He can even go. Let God bring a dog and come and speak to us then. Listen to them.
A certain damsel possessed with a spirit of divination met us.
She met us.
Which brought her masters much
Now
gain.
listen to this very carefully. She was operating in the church. Her masters are the prophets, the apostles, and she ensured that they got so many riches.
By soothsaying.
By soothsaying. Why? Because that spirit is the spirit that manifests on a lady and he speaks about your family, and then the conclusion is, but this is the man of God who can heal you from this, who can deliver you from. You were like, so she's always doing adverts for the so-called man of God. Listen.
The same followed Paul and us.
This lady followed Paul for days.
And cried, saying,
Paul did not discern her the first day. And look at the thing she says. So if she's not from God, how come she mentioned Jesus? Look at what she was doing.
She cried, saying, these men are the servants.
She was crying or prophesying, saying what?
These men are the servants of the Most High.
No, they are false.
They are the servants of the Most High.
This lady was saying that the men, Paul, are the very servants of the Most High.
Which shew unto us the way of salvation.
Were they not the servants of the Most High?
They were.
Were they not showing us the things and the ways of the Most High and salvation? So they speak truth. But if you don't shut them down, what they will do to you in the concluding aspect. Listen.
And this did she many days.
She did this for many days.
But Paul, being grieved,
in the spirit, knew,
turned and said to the spirit,
and saw that no, Elohim doesn't do advert. Elohim, he doesn't do advert. Because he's all in one. Turn unto her and said,
I command thee in the name of Yahushua.
I command you in the name of Yahushua.
To come out of her.
To come out of her.
And he came out the same hour.
And the spirit came out of her the same hour.
And when her master saw.
And then when the prophets in the churches saw
that the hope of their gains was gone.
What Paul has done, because now no spirit will come upon her anymore when they are ministering. It is the spirit that transfers in the churches. So you go to a church, pay very good attention when they are doing what they call delivering service. They are always with one person. When they are almost done, another person begins to shout. They go there. How come it doesn't come on 10 people for him to battle 10 people at the same time? That's how the spirit tricks you. He goes to one person. Before he's almost done, it goes to another person. The whole church, stretch off your hand. The whole church is not, we catch you, burn. And the lady is doing, burning. But how come that physical person you claim is doing this? But physically, she's not being burnt. If you don't take her, you don't leave, and it can come on any person who is not righteous. So when you are righteous, you go to some of the conference, they are ministering. Whenever they reach, they look at you head to toe, then they move on. They pass you by. They don't even. They are touching people. They are just. You ask for it. They move on. And they go to the ladies. They lay. And she's saying things. Listen.
They caught Shaul and Silas and drew them into the marketplace unto the rulers.
Revelations 21 verse 8.
Revelations chapter 20 and 1, starting from verse 8.
But the fearful
and unbelieving
and
the abominable,
the murderers
and whoremongers
and
sorcerers,
they will have their part.
They shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone.
The last book of Revelation is 22 verse
Revelation
15.
22 from verse 15.
Listen.
For without are dogs and sorcerers.
Without are dogs, dogs and
sorcerers, and whoremongers and murderers, and idolaters, and whosoever loves and makes a lie.
Whosoever love and make a lie. Final verse, chapter 24, Matthew, verse 5.
Matthew chapter 20 and 4, starting from verse 5. For many shall come in my
See,
name,
many shall come in my name,
saying, I am Hamashiach,
saying, I am the Messiah,
and shall deceive many.
and they shall deceive many,
And ye shall hear of wars,
and you will then hear of wars
of rumors of wars.
and rumors of wars.
See that ye be not troubled,
See that ye are not troubled.
for all these things must come to pass.
7:20
Matthew chapter 7, from verse 20 and 1.
Listen.
Not everyone that says unto me,
So don't be deceived.
Mhm.
You see, the same thing that Jeremiah said. That Elohim told him, no, the guys who are prophets, I don't know them. Now the Messiah is saying the same thing to you, Christians, but as for you, he's your pastor. Your pastor doesn't commit sin. You talk, especially with we know your pastor.
Mhm.
Listen.
Not everyone that says unto me,
Not everyone that says unto me,
Master,
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 Master.
shall enter into the
So
kingdom
not
of heaven.
everyone that is mentioning the so-called name of the Messiah
Shall
is
enter
of
into
me.
the kingdom.
Listen.
But he that does the will of my Father which is in heaven.
For in that day,
Many will say that in that day,
many,
Mhm.
meaning the prophets, 99% are false. Many is more than half.
Mhm.
Many shall come unto me, saying, but hey, Messiah,
Have we not prophesied in thy
all these
name?
and the funny thing is, many of these guys that are prophesying do not even know that it is the spirit of divination. That's why I tell you that the only thing for you to know, for you to be sure about is what you see, what you hear. If what you hear, what you see always goes back to the devil, you know you need self-deliverance. Go back to the mountains. Something has entered you. Listen.
They will say, Have we not prophesied in thy name?
And in your name,
Have cast out devils, and
so
in
they
thy
are
name.
able to cast out devils,
Mhm.
prophesy,
Mhm.
and do all manner of miracles.
That's right.
Yet
Then will I profess unto them,
I will profess unto them.
I never knew you.
For someone to tell you that he never knew you, do you know what that means? So people, divination has taken over the church. The same as tongues. It goes hand in hand with tongues. That's why these ladies, before they so-called the coolie spirit. The gurus. They do this, they shake, they say all manner of things, all of a sudden, and then they begin. And it never talks about they themselves, what they do.
Kundalini.
Yeah, it's coolie spirit. So please humble yourself, because you dream, because you see, because you hear. Don't think that is of Elohim. There's a thin line. One rebuilds the soul of what it has done. The other one never. So you go to this, you know that this girl is sleeping with all the men in Gami. Yet it's not her. It's a witch somewhere in Ghana that is making her do it. So now what that means is, let's kill the witch, and this person will stop fornicating. But they delivered that person so-called from that spirit. She paid a bribe, or what you call sow a seed, and now you've been delivered. Yeah, that person is fornicating. What happened? Be wise, humble yourself, do whatever you must do to survive this. Divination is real, and it's being used in all churches by fetish priests, or what you call or classify as prophets. The same fetish priests who were on the altars and the mountains is the same spirit that is following them, that is using them. It can mimic itself. It can tell you that his name is Hariki, and it's not Hariki. It can tell you that his name is Justice. It can tell you that he is Jesus. And you know when it says Jesus, you know what it means. Run for your life. A word to a wise is enough. Until we meet again, salam.
So this was another show of the Hour of Restoration. I hope you learned something. What we've discussed, the theme was witchcraft, and we talked about divination. So if there's something that you missed, you can revisit the show. It's on YouTube. You can watch it back and take your time. On Facebook also, tell a friend to tell a friend if they feel that they need to hear this. We have many shows that we've discussed on our platform SoundCloud also about this topic, but maybe from a different perspective. You can revisit that also. Follow our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, to be updated about what we'll discuss next week. And yeah, we'd like to thank you for tuning in with us again from wheresoever you're listening. Have a wonderful day. Have a nice weekend. And we hope to see you again next week. This was your brother Randy. This was the Hour of Restoration, restoring broken walls.
The gates of hell could not prevail against the Son of God. Oh, I wish. Oh, I wish. Oh, yes. I wish I was there when they crucified the King. 'Cause if I was there, a lot of fire would be burning. I wish I was there when they crucified my Lord. 'Cause if I was there, the fire would be burning hard. Oh, when I hear they push a sword through his side, it broke my heart. Indeed, I cried, thinking about how they mocked and jeered him, knowing that he was the destined king. I wish I was there when they crucified the King. 'Cause if I was there, a lot of fire would be burning. I wish I was there when they nailed him to the cross. 'Cause if I was there, the fire would be burning hard. How can it be the man of Galilee who came to release mankind from captivity?